In the middle of Leyndell Capital, there is an inconspicuous sewer opening, and if you go down there, you would expect to see just the usual boring stuff that you see in sewers, like boring enemies and long, monotonous corridors, but not this one. This one opens into a gigantic subterranean shunning grounds area. It has this great enemy boss hidden deep within its confines, and it will probably kill you a few times. It has this Dung Eater guy.
And defile each corpse with care.
Not a nice guy. It also has like really insane gravity puzzles that you need to solve in order to get to a secret area, and you will also find your way through a very confusing catacomb that just is all really convoluted. Now, if any of these things are something you've missed under Leyndell Capital, then this video for you. My name is Nilaus, and I do these Elden Ring guides, try to get as comprehensive as possible and get through everything below the Leyndell Capital city. The first thing you saw us do is make some prism stones, because we're going to need it. We're going to start at the Balcony Avenue Grace, and we are going to go over here. We don't need to fight anything, well, not much. Jump down. Here there will be a few of these annoying face suckers, these ones, and then we have our entrance. Now this area here, or this video, is going to be split into different segments, so you can follow the segments in chapters in the YouTube description, so you can jump to parts if you're missing it, or you want to see specific parts. I have designed this so that we get through everything and we find everything there is to find here. The first thing we want to do is get to the first grace inside of the sewers, called Underground Roadside, and we will just make our way there. Now, as usual with these kind of guides, if you like these kind of guides, then be sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing, because I will be guiding you through every part of Elden Ring and trying to find every secret and everything that's interesting to find in this game. There we go, that should be taken care of at this point. So we are running here. All of this is just what you would expect from dungeons, catacombs. It's just a bit of sort of normal corridors, but when you get to around the bend, and then you will start seeing this is exactly what you expect. Rats in the sewers. That's great. We'll just take care of all of the rats and then move forward. Nothing in here. There is a location, and what we'll be doing at any time we find one of these locations where we can see something on the other side, then we will be dropping. And there, prism stone. So you'll be needing a lot of prism stones for this one. I would say like something like 30 prism stones is what I think I used, 20 or something. They're easy to grind because you just find one of those ever jails, and then those weird worm creatures nearby, they will be dropping those. And there, as we find this door, this actually opens up into a huge area, the Subterranean Shunning grounds. I don't know what that means, but it's a big area. The key part about this area, one of the things that you absolutely must learn, is these omens. These omens are pretty annoying, but I found a way. First I'm going to show you how not to do it, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. This is also a bit unfair because he attacked me before I was ready. The trick is not to get hit like that, but so what I do is now I back up, and then I'll do jump, and then it staggers. Basically, if you get started on these and you do 3, in my case at least, because of my levels and equipment, but jump attacks will stagger them. That means it interrupts their current attack, and it will then 3 of those, for me at least, will get them into a vulnerable state, so you can do a critical hit, and that means you can actually deal with those pretty simple. Now we're just going to be looking at this underground road, and we have a grace, so let's check this grace, and then we have reached the first checkpoint, and we're ready to explore the underground roadside. So the underground roadside, we just rested, so we are fully healthy. There's a door here. There are enemies to both sides. There are locked portcullis at either end, and there are 2 exits from this location that we can take. So we try to sneak up, but it doesn't work. Here you can see jump heavy, jump heavy, jump heavy, and it falls down. That is, once you get that rhythm done, it is incredibly easy to take these guys, and they're tough if you want to stand up in a straight up fight against them. So what the first objective here is to clear some of those circular paths here that we sort of go out and then come back to this location. To our right we have a ladder down, that's the main one to get down here. We can go in and just try to do a backstab, but I just find that they aggro. So this one, super simple. And from going from having these to be really dangerous enemies to now being something you can almost farm because they are pretty straightforward. But the thing is, sometimes you're gonna get it wrong, and you will both take some damage because their attacks is a bit faster, or it's you just mistime it a bit. But overall, this is a very, very solid way of dealing with this. You can see over here the grates moving forward, well, backwards at this case. There is a one missing, so we can actually drop down there. That is another part of it. I am kind of trying to keep things separate. See this part here? You can drop down there. It's going to be a long way back, but you'll come back on the behind that grate as well. So that's another path that we'll do later on. And if you have missed that, then that's actually the biggest part of the area. Now the only option, or the two options we have, is dropping down or we take the ladder. So we take the ladder first. Our objective is now to go into this area and fight our way and fight our way back to safety. Now we come into a big room. The one thing that is the most dangerous about this room, oh, it's actually, this will almost always kill you. This, you have to jump here. Across this, you can't just walk off. It looks like you can walk off, but if you walk off, you will do exactly as that little goblin did. Thank you for illustrating that. We don't want to do that. There are a lot of goblins here, so just go slowly and make sure you don't fall off. The let's say shimmering sounds of this. There's one at the ground level, and on top of that there are some in. Yeah, see, they just fall off by themselves, and you will fall off too if you're not careful. I do the shield counter. Sorry, about the scarab sounds that you can hear. Well, there are some in the pipes that are nearby, and you can't get to them until much later. But there's also one at the very ground level. The ground level is excruciatingly difficult. So that's because it has two shrimps that aggro at the same time. So, yeah. We'll get to that in a second. It's probably one of the toughest fights in here. Truthfully, it is. And I'm gonna do my usual thing here. My sort of blasphemy is healing on every kill. There, and also when I do critical hits, I restore focus points, 15 focus points, and that just keeps me going with my keeping the buffs up on my shield. From the shield, because that costs like 10 or something. One more time. There. And this is just a good way for us to keep our focus up. There, got it. And we get this bit of loot. Now there isn't anything more at this point unless we want to drop down. But we don't want to drop down just yet. We want to make sure that we have a clean path moving forward. There might be just a little thing. We just want to take some of these out. I did not stagger. Weird. And we're just looking around. Down there we're missing something. And that's because we don't want to drop down. You can see you can drop down and get further down here. We do not want to do that. Not at this point. Those pipes are actually part of the dungeon much later. But they are sort of completely separated from where we are right now. And we will now go here. Come into a strange room. This room is is that it? Ah yeah, there's one right around the corner. So just, yeah. As soon as you don't get to start with your jump attacks, then it gets a bit more difficult. But just back off. Get a bit of a chance, and then you can go in again. I don't know why I decided not to do a jump attack. Maybe I just missed it. There we go. Finally got it down. But I would really focus on trying to do the jump attacks. They deal a lot of poise damage. And we come back to this location and get a shadow bait spell. And now we are behind one of the grates that we have, and this will actually serve as a pretty good way for us to come back here if we die, and I can guarantee you it is very likely that you will die from this. So here's the ladder up, and we are now you can go back and rest if you need to, or you can continue. We are going to continue because we haven't really used any flasks or anything else, so we're still pretty healthy. What we want to do is we want to jump down here, because now we want to take the bottom of the pit here. The bottom of the pit is really difficult. It has these 2 shrimp enemies, and the way I'm going to be doing it is quite illogical. You would think that, yeah, so where do we want to drop down? Well, let's just have a look at them. So they are here. So what you would expect is that it's that you would want to take, since there are 2 of them, one at a time. Now that's not what I'm going to do. I am going to be completely careless and aggro both of them at once. It is really difficult just to stand toe to toe in a fight, and I'm sure there is a clean way of killing them. I just haven't found out. I get wrecked every time. But what I do is I run in here. You can still get grabbed, as you can probably see. You can still get grabbed through it. Doesn't happen often, and it hurts so much. But if you keep up your block in here and you try to position them, then these 2 idiot shrimps will attack each other. They'll try to attack us, but we block. You can see some damage was taken, so we just need to go forward and lure them into doing some attack animation. And we should be able to see some. There we go. That's some health damage from one of them. It's like the crabs, they will do friendly damage, so we just want them to kill each other. Not me, but each other. It doesn't matter if you use all of your potions for this. This is the last part before a rest, so it is all good. That one, look at that. We want them to kill each other. See, this one is the most aggressive, and there we go. It killed its friend. So now there's only one, and that's it's still going to be difficult and still going to be dangerous. If you have spells, if you have range, you can also just abuse the range. But I'm going to be trying to do this here and run through that one, get a bit of attack in. And that one is the one that actually gets us. Roll, and you get chance to attack. It just doesn't deal as much damage as that. Like, this poke is the worst. I'm just going to back away. I use these tunnels as safety. Man, it hurts these. And that's a good one. It's the poke that's the worst. As you can see, we're almost getting killed by just one of them. So trying to fight 2 of them at once, or fight one and be careful not to aggro the other one. There we go. We got it. Not pretty. And I wish I could give you like the one true way to deal with these in a simple manner, but unfortunately I can't. They are just my arch nemesis. I've gotten better at the abductor virgins, but not the shrimps. They are still getting me. So we clean out everything on the ground floor. There's not any more exits. There's one exit, and that's the one we're going to take, which will lead into what is actually a catacomb. So that's a separate dungeon here. Go into the other pipe, because this is where you've been hearing some sounds from, some scarab sounds, and for your trouble you get a Smithing 7. And Smithing 7 should also just indicate what you can expect to see in terms of difficulty. Now this Mohg shackle is, you can buy a market shackle from patches you can use to subdue Margit for a bit, and also Morgott. But this one will actually work on Mohg, and that will come in handy a bit later on. I am not going to use it because I like doing my fights as difficult as possible. Here I'm just going to illustrate you where we are on the map. We found our grace, so what we can do is we can rest, but we also want to find our way back from here, because if we go by the grace, there was an entrance. That entrance is into the Leyndell Catacombs, which is a fun place, but also very confusing. But what we want to do is take the elevator up and then sort of loop our way back. This room is confusing, and these enemies, you can't kill them. What you need to do is go find this secret door, go find this secret door, and then you will find a spirit crawler snail that keeps summoning the other ones. And as soon as you kill it, all the other enemies are dead. And of course there is another secret door here that gets us through this room, and it just teaches us spirit crawler snails are awful. And we will just find our way back to this location. Oh, you forgot something. There we go. A golden rune 11. Nothing to scoff at. And we go up here, and then the idiot me thinks that I can actually hack my way through it, but that's not how things work. It's not an illusory door, it is a trapdoor, and using the lever, yes, using the lever is the way to open that door. And then we see where we come up, and that will be, I don't know if it's surprising. It surprised me a bit. I actually thought I came up at another place, but since we've already, see, I thought that I would come up right behind two of these enemies, the Omens, but it's actually between the, right by the Omen we already killed. So now you have another shortcut from the Roadside Underground to the Leyndell dungeon that bypasses the shrimps. Oh yes. So at this point we'll just go back to the Leyndell Catacombs, and that's where we're going to be starting the next segment from. So this segment is now about the Leyndell Catacombs. This is a bit of a normal catacomb. You have a door here, but this is where we're going to be starting to use a lot of our prisms. I dropped this before this one because we'll come back to that one and think that we are here, but we are actually not there. So now we remember that we put a purple one. The essence of this dungeon is that there are 3 dungeons that look exactly the same, and you're going to be alternating between those, and it's important that you keep track of whether you're in 1, 2, or 3. So where we are right now is going to be called dungeon number 1. And as usual, I will just work my way through backstabs as much as possible. Anytime we can get a backstab, I will get a backstab. I like the animation, but it's also about just getting the safety, the iframes. And we get another one. Yeah, room is clear. Now this room is going to be a central room. Take good note of where you are, so we're going to put it here. This one is orange. So now number 1 is orange. That should be that should be easy to keep track of at this point. Now we progress further ahead of us. You will know that if you see something like this, there's always a guy around the corner. Unfortunately, this guy is a zombie, so not fast. And we just clear this room as we've done all other rooms as well. Keeping ourselves nice and healthy here. My objective is always, and this is the objective with this build, is for dungeons such as this, is to have the absolute maximum sustain, so I never use potions for anything except, well, bosses and that kind of thing. For panic and not just for sort of sustain and getting a bit of damage here and there. This is a bad idea, by the way. You want to aggro them so that they explode, but you definitely don't want to be next to them. I think I will be kind enough to show you the impact of trying to kill them. We killed that one. What about you? And run away from that. It deals quite a lot of damage, so not a good time. And we run in and run to the side. Now at this point there are 2 locations. We can go up the stairs or we can go into this flame trap. Let's keep that in mind because that will be a repeated pattern of having that choice. Generally the part is if you go up the stairs you go forward into the next dungeon, and if you go to the side path it is, well, something else, but it's also backwards when we get a bit further into this dungeon. Now I'm gonna admit that this first dungeon got me really confused, but it's actually, with marking it with prism stone, it gets a lot easier. So this is now a dead end, but we have an Omen in here that we want to kill in our smooth manner. Jump, jump. And yeah, then bad stuff. There we go. We needed one more on this guy. Maybe that's the attack he did, or maybe that's the timing thing. But he also seems a bit tougher than the other ones. Run away! Also, if you're really in panic, you can go in here because they can't follow you into tight corridors. So if you are having really a lot of trouble with them, just back up into a tight corridor, door, or anything like that, and then they will be able to use their breath attack. But yeah, Crucible Scale Talisman is ours now. It reduces damage from critical hits, but how often do you really realistically get critical hit? Now at that point, we that was just a dead end, so we take care of it and give us a bit of healing. That wasn't really necessary because we're going to be healing from stuff coming up. Now you come into a room where there are dead bodies. They don't do anything. That's a bit weird that there are dead bodies, but there is actually a point to these dead bodies that we will see. So at this point we are just hiding behind the statue for an Omen killer, or not an Omen killer, but just an Omen to come on a patrol, wait for it to return back, and then it's our turn to go in. I'll go for a backstab. Nope, I'll go for a full attack here, and there you go down. It is really a simple way of doing it. And we get some glove ward 9, that's actually pretty nice. And we can then proceed. Again, these locations, you will see more of them. And then we'll come back and go, oh yeah, we've been here before. We're back to the first room, except we're not. Because there is a flower there, and now we throw a blue one down there. So this is actually just one that looks exactly the same, but it's not the same. Also, this corpse that is here, that's hanging here, it doesn't have any loot on it, but the one we saw from the beginning did have loot on it. So there are a number of hints that on second playing through, it's super obvious that it's not the same place, but on the first playthrough, you're going like, oh yeah, I know where we are. So we'll jump down, and then at this point, I was already starting to wonder why they had respawned, but you know, as well, if you die during this and have to corpse run and run past it, then you won't even notice that. Yeah, they shouldn't be respawning. Get a splatter, and so this is now dungeon number 2, and the only way the way they're connected is through this. You come into this room, you jump down. So number 1 was orange, number 2 is blue, and we can then proceed. First we'll go back. This would be the equivalent of going back. Oh, the door's open. Wait a minute. We put a purple sign before the door, so this is not the same door that we opened. So that means there must be something new. That's a nice little trick. So you think, well, that's we get a bonus boss for this location, but actually it's not really a boss, but it's a tough fight nonetheless. But you can get around the toughest part. So you can see there's an Omen up there. We buff up. If you sneak in, there's also an Omen in the corner to the right. And if you sneak in, the one in the corner doesn't detect you, and you can fight them one by one. If you just come barging in like some idiot, then and start buffing up at the door, then you're probably going to have to fight 2 Omens at once, which is, well, not a good time. And the other one at the corner, I was just looking for him. Also note that you don't get any loot from him, you don't get the usual teleport to the beginning of the dungeon, but you do get like a nice golden rune 11 for your troubles. And you can see there's a guy in the corner, still idly waiting for us. Very kind of you to not get in here. Oh, that grab. Just roll through that if somehow managed to get that off. And we do that in a very smooth manner, and then we can actually proceed. So that was from the drop down, let's call it the central room, because that's where we sort of change between dungeons. And we go back, and then we sort of proceed further into dungeon number 2, and what we'll see is that it looks an awful lot like dungeon number 1, even to the point where, yeah, everything is indistinguishable. So for example, you come in here and you see some dead goblins on the floor, and you think, oh yeah, those are the goblins I killed. No, it's not. I love that. It's so well made. Moving forward, of course there are no exploding enemies because we already killed those. Of course the flamethrower is down because you probably left it down. So what we can do here is, if you do go forward, then that actually takes us back to, or takes us into progression. So we will do this part first, because this is not progression. So here we have those corpses that we saw in dungeon number 1, but they are not corpses in dungeon number 2. Really clever way of just taking your expectations and always turning them over. At this point, you should realize that it's not the same dungeon that you're working through, but they do really keep up the charade for as much as possible. Because even here, you have a dead Omen killer exactly where we killed the last one. And another Omen, still not an Omen killer, another Omen looking over it. It's such a cool way of doing it. Yeah. And we kill it. And the other corpse was just there to sort of make us think that it's the same place. And we come back to this room, and then we know, is it the orange one or is it the blue one that we have down here? It is neither. So that's actually dungeon number 3, which is much smaller, but still gets you confused. So let's throw one down here. What color will it be? Purple. All right. There isn't anything we want to do here, so we'll just go down into purple one. There is, unlike the other ones, there's only one exit from this location, so you can already see it's much smaller this time around. But you know, it's worth doing nonetheless. And we get into this room. At this point, it's pretty obvious that there are multiple iterations, but if you don't mark them, it can be hard to keep track of whether you're in 1, 2, or 3, or how many there actually are. So that's why I started out by using the prism shots. But we're gonna need way more prism shots for finding our way through the dungeons. That is for sure. So we come in here to the flamer area. We get some flowers for our trouble. And you can also see if we move forward, there is no flamer at this location, but there is an omen that wants to drop down on us, so let's just get it to drop down. Jump. 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 It's close that it got its attack off, but it didn't. And we cleared that one. Get another glove ward 9 for our trouble. And if you look up there, I can't find a way up there. I've been hacking and slashing on the walls. I can't find a way up there. It also just looks like a ledge. There's no items up there. This is weird. Like having a corpse like that with no loot on it, it bugs me. So that was like all of what we had in dungeon number 3. And then we drop down and then we can see we've been here before. You can see there are 2 corpses here. So we know that we are in dungeon number 2. We're just going to go over here just to confirm that it is actually purple. Looking down. Purple, yes. So that goes into dungeon number 3, which is now completely clear. Dungeon number 2 is clear with one exception. And that one exception is where we're heading. That's the window we just dropped out of. Just trying to make sure that we tie things together. And we come into this location. This is the only place we haven't been. So we go up. And it looks like the one we came to, number 1, where there was an omen facing the altar. But in this case, there is a difference. We have an exit here. We'll just, for good measure, go over here and give that altar a whack. You always just, if you see an altar, just always roll into it and give it a whack. And just in case there is a secret door. That goes both in-game and out of game. I would highly recommend it. You never know, there might be a secret door. And now we come into an area that looks completely different from what we've been seeing before. And we can, we have a pretty good indication that we are now on a progression path. Again, just trying to get as much recovery as possible. We have full mana, full health. We've used a total of 1 flask in all of this dungeon, so I'm pretty happy about this progress. We now get a ladder all the way down. And that takes us in a long corridor, because why is this long corridor? Well, it needs to get us all the way back to the original location. This is where we are. We can see orange. That was the first room we went to. We can get the loot, Sacramental Blood, not particularly impressive, but hey, we take it. And then we finally get this lever that we needed in order to open the door. And then from here on, remember the straight path is the way back, and the staircase up is out. So we come back to the door we went to the beginning and where we left this. Now, this boss fight, it's tough, but for the wrong reasons. It is a puny mage that's easy to kill, but he has 2 bug dogs. Bugged scarlet bleed dogs. Those dogs are insane. So I panic and throw this one down instead of buffing. You want to make sure that you do not get hit by these dogs. They deal so much damage. So I'm just giving it a good old bit of panic, because these dogs deal so much damage. My objective is to go over here and then see if I can. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to use my special attack, my blast from the blade, like this. And I kill the 2 dogs, and from here the boss will be easy. Priest of Blood, that's all good, and not a problem. But you must kill the dogs without getting hit by them, because they'll kill you in a second if they get you. But we did get it, and we get the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which I would say is like a mandatory thing if you're doing a bleed build. So we got the dungeon complete, and from here we are just going to pick up the root resin that we have, and then we can teleport to the back to the start and get started on the next dungeon here. We're starting the next section back here from the underground roadside. We have done all the stuff to the right, all of the stuff over there. We have the door to open. We've jumped down this ladder here and done everything from that side. So it's time to jump through the hole in the ground and get to the next area. Again, same procedure as always. I'm so happy I found a good way to do this, because just fighting them straight up and dodging and timing your attacks, it's just not a good time. We'll try to sneak in to get as close as possible so they don't start attack animation before we're ready. We really want to get our attack animation first. This is what happens when we don't get the attack animation first, is that they will be slightly ahead of us. And then it gets more difficult. We just managed to get it in. There. And we'll just need a little follow-up. Now the funny thing is, this hole in the ground actually opens such a big area. We used a bit of our bestial wrath healing. So our objective now is to open this one. And also the closed door ahead of us. That will be the loops we want to do. The first place we want to go is actually heading towards the Dung Eater, because that's part of a quest. And we will just clear this. Now this looks like more of a normal sewer area. Again, not the enemies are not the toughest here. The normal enemies, there will be slugs, there will be rats, but of course the omens are really the most difficult parts. Wait here for one of the crates to turn into a rat or something to that effect. I just do the jump attack. Every time I kill rats, I'm always hoping like, give me a runa, but never. This is an opening that we will go in. I don't know why I mark it, but we mark it now because we know to go back. That opens up into a big area. Where we're going is basically a dead end. And it'll be a dead end that gets us to the Dung Eater and for his quest. So if you don't know what that is, then if you... In Round Table Hold, there is an NPC, a red NPC, invader NPC, and he says... doesn't seem like a nice guy, but hey, we want to do all quests, so we want to do all quests. And he says that his body is deep below the Leyndell capital, and he gives you a key if you progress this quest. I will do quest guides for all the quests in the game, because I really love the quests, they're super cool. In the meantime, we're just working our way here. Try to avoid getting poisoned, but if you do get poisoned, you can at least ignore it. So now we're poisoned, and we can ignore it. It's kind of nice to have okay, yeah, get out. Ow. So we get both a bit of plant lasers. We all know that plants shoot lasers, and then also the headbutt. These have so many hit points. You can run past them, but running past them is just not my style. There you go. That's 2. I am not healing my poison yet, because there's one more over here. Buff up and go in. That fire stagger is pretty good at this point. So at this point, poison, since we are poisoned, it's pretty nice that we do it. Can I get it? No, I can't get it in. It's really difficult to get it in fast enough. Get another poison spew. And we got it. So those 3 plants, and then it's a good idea to do the flame cleanse me. I don't think we can live without that one. And we use a potion, just because. We have plenty of potions for this area. Hey, ladders. You know what ladders mean? That means hit the like button and subscribing to the channel. And now we're up. So that was a short time for you to do that. Unfortunately, we have reset the dungeon, but we did put behind that grid over in the left-hand corner, we did put a shard previously. Here, very important to see, there is a friendly hand. You can take it out before it gets in, and then there are lots of these small hands as well. And they're actually, they're super harmless almost all the time, but if they get in and get like their 5-hit super fast combo in, then it hurts. That corner, we have been on the other side. We just looked in and we could see it. I placed a prism. I also placed one here. Not that it really matters at this point. Prisms disappear on reloading. So this part is where you use the sewer jail key, and we'll see what he has to say.
Let me out of here. Who are you? I've been here long enough. I will kill again. And defile each corpse with care. Just to be sure that when they're reborn, they'll be cursed. Along with their children. And their children's children. For all time to come.
Yeah, not a nice guy at all. Yet, it is a quest, so we must do it. And now he has been released, and we can talk to him back in Roundtable Hold when we get back there. Aside from this is just a dead end, so nothing more to do. We will be tracing back. Nice one. For some reason, like, I played this game for so much, and I still make the difference. You hit the wrong keys when sort of descending ladders or interacting or jumping or that kind of thing. It's unbelievable. So we left our little blue prism here, and it's time to head into the sewers. Now these sewers, they are not going to be difficult, but what they will do is they'll be confusing. So we'll try to... The thing you want to be most careful of is don't fall down into pits. These really don't do anything. See, here's a pit, and we will be marking this so that when we come back to that location, it's green. We will know that, oh, this is the part where we could have fallen down. We don't want to fall down if we don't have to. So now comes a path where the path splits in 3. That means there are 3 options, and if I choose one, how do I mark which one I take? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the one I come from, and I'm going to mark the one that I'm going into. That means when I come back to this intersection, there will be one location that isn't marked, and that's the one I haven't taken yet. So if I mark a location, that means I have chosen that path. That's just how I do it. If you have a 3-way intersection, I don't see a better way to do it. You can mark the way you came from. Well, that's what I'm doing. But also mark the one you haven't taken, but then you come back to it, and then you don't really know which ones you have. But anyway, I think this is the way I do it. It uses a bit more fragments, but it also is nice. So here again, is it a split? No, it's not really a split, because this is a dead end right in here, so we don't really need to consider that a split. And we get to this location, and it will be blocked from the side, as they always are. We'll get back into that location, but we're just for ourselves, we make a purple prism here, prism shards, so that we can see it when we get in there, and then we know that, oh yeah, we've been to the other side of that. And now we can go back. One of them fell down, good. And now we can see that this is the only path we haven't taken, because that is unmarked, and now we mark it as well. You can also just try to keep track of it in on pen and paper, or find somewhere that has drawn maps. Here's another pit that you can fall down. I really recommend not falling down to this one. We mark it with white, I guess. Oh, that was close. Jump over it. And moving forward. Here, the great gate here is actually the way out, so I think that's why it's marked like in a special way. So we contemplate our options. Let's take the other one, because we want to go deeper first. So there are only 2 places you can fall down in this segment of the dungeon, so you don't have to worry about falling down anywhere else in the meantime. At this point we're just continuing downwards, and yeah, it's great that we have some enemies we can backstab, because that gives us some of our focus points back. And we now come into a big room. Now get your healing spell ready, normal heal, because there is a revenant, and well, I like to deal with revenants by casting heal. So we're just gonna be ready. Over there in the corner, that is the white shard that we threw down one of the pits. So that's where you actually go if you fall, and then you fall down in this area, and that's not very good to but if you fell down and you wonder where you are, then this is it. This is also why it's so important to drop things down these locations. Okay, we see the revenant is spawning, and I will just go over and do a heal before it does anything. Perfect. Get staggered, and it's dead. Damn, I love the idea that you can heal your way through these revenants. And we get the smithing stone for our troubles. It seems like smithing stone 7 is the level for this, which also should keep you in mind that this level is definitely harder than the rest of Leyndell Castle. So this was where we could have fallen down, and there is a gate here, or not a gate, but a grid that we can't get through. And over in this corner we can see that purple we dropped, and that means there's a space in between our grid and the other grid that we can't get to. But let's leave one here as well, so that when we get there we can see, yes, we have been there. And now we trace our steps backwards, because this was a one-time entrance. We move back, and this is now the intersection we had. And now the only thing we're missing is the one that isn't marked, and we can now go in here. Yeah, the slug attack. You could say that we are slugging our way through the sewers. I guess you could say that. And moving forward. Oops, how did I miss that? And this fight is, well, also one of the tougher fights of this dungeon. It is basically 3 omens right after each other, so you have to kill them quick, or you have to fight 3 at once. So that's why I buff up. It jumps down. I don't do it particularly well, to be honest. This one is good. We do all the things we have to do. And it's dead. Good. Now next one. Shoots above us. Come on, get down. It climbs the ladder instead of jumping down. That's a bit annoying. So we do a good attack, but unfortunately we get stuck right in here on the wall, which is not a great place to be, and we don't somehow cause enough stagger. So I want to go in, and this one I'm somehow I missed that. And now it gets tricky because the other one is here as well. So let's get the hell out of there. I was hoping I could get this one out, but since the other one is here, it's time to back up and get some healing. Double heals. Go back. I'm going to switch to my two-hander and then abuse the fact that it's a narrow corridor. Kill one, and then we only have one left. We give it the usual treatment. And we kill those 3. Now we kill those 3. Now that's a tough fight. It can easily overwhelm you, and the problem is this is right before we are back, but we get a level 8 somber smithing for our trouble, so that's very nice. We get back in here, and we are now back behind the other gate. There are a lot of somber smithing stones in this area. We go over here to the gate. This is the gate, the other gate from our underground roadside. So now we've managed to open both gates. At this point you should consider either you can go back and just take a rest and then clear your way in here, although that means you have to kill 4 omens to get to this door. Or we can continue, since we still have 10 shards or 10 flasks and pretty good health and mana. So we continue and open another door. Actually, we are just gonna go back because there's something we forgot. This is what we forgot. We forgot that we had a green place that we dropped down, and we never actually dropped down there. So let's drop on down and see what's down here. Gotta make sure that we take everything in this dungeon, so we can't leave any stone unturned. There were 2 drop downs, the green and the white one. The white one we got on the other side of this grid in this big room here. And now we go into this location, and that will just tie up the stuff that we still have undiscovered in this location. And you can now see the green one is on the other side, and the purple one is the door that couldn't be opened. Now it can be opened from this side, and we can find our way back. Then it's just a matter of, can we find our way back actually? Is it this way or that way? Well, we can follow the signs, and we can run back again. And then we made it all the way back to the roadside underground. Still, everything is cleared because we haven't reset. So this is a new location. This is basically a giant hole in the ground that we can come in through later on. You can also get into this location much later in a different way. I think that's through this hole in the ground. But that doesn't matter. We want to do this when we are in Leyndell. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's pretty... it is a pretty tough area, some parts. And we can do a drop down. The way you know that you can do a drop down is because you can hear this one. So you know there's something down there. And that is someplace 6. And we proceed. Okay, yeah, just walk off. Walk off. And we get a bit of string for our trouble. That's glorious. So this part is just basically finding our way back to the other closed door that was just across from the Grace. That's where we're working our way through. And at that point we will have tied in a lot of things. But there's still way more down here. And the funny thing about this is that you just have to find like that little bit of location that we're missing. We go to this location here. The interesting thing is that as I was looking through the video segments that I had recorded for this, I realized that the stuff ahead of us here, I hadn't done that. So what I'm going to do is there are actually 2 exits out of the room. There's one exit here. Goes deeper and is actually the progression as well. But there's also one over here dropping down to these. So we're going to be, since this is a dead end, we're just going to insert that dead end segment here before continuing. It's always the difficult part. That's the most important talent to have in oh, look at that fight. The most important talent to have in any Souls game is when you have 2 openings, realize which one is progression and which one is the side path. Kill the damn small ones, the basilisks first. They will literally kill you. I am not a fan of basilisks. Did we get you? No, there we go. We got you. And the other one is just a normal flower. Ow. Headbutting flower. And we'll use a potion just to make sure. We have all the time in the world against these things, so just take the time. Or just ignore them for that matter. We even get a visual attack against it. And it's dead. Trees are the enemy. It's just, it is a fact. And we can then proceed. This is a very small side path, so I should of course have taken this one first, but well, kind of missed it. And more basilisks, lovely. There. So all we get for this little side path is this nomad ashes, and then we can sort of go back to continuing on our journey from before. Now we are proceeding in here, and we can see that this area, now instead of rats and slugs, we are getting these annoying basilisks. They are... you can deal with it, right? But it's just so much more dangerous. Get around the corner, have the bog disappear. There we go. Here's a guy. And this one is also open from the other side, so we will come back to that one. We might actually do a rest before, but if we remember that there's a gatekeeper guy standing there. Jump. Not dead, not dead. And then we come out into a big room that first I thought this was the room with the shrimps, but it's not. It's actually right next to it. But we have one more Omen, but we know how to deal with these by now. Well, more or less at least. And a finishing jump. So we get a golden centipede, and we get this Omen Bairn. It's a reusable item that summons these summoned spirits. I think it's the stuff they cast. I like those kind of items, but I don't like the fact that they uses FP, and well, FP is used better in pretty much every other way, in at least for my character who doesn't have a lot of FP and no ways. Well, I do have ways to recover it. So we move all the way up, and now we have to go over to that little position here, and where you see we are now is in the room with the shrimps at the bottom. We are just way higher up. Some of the places that we couldn't get to before, and that gets us the door that leads back into the Grace, or back to the Grace. So that means that if you are in need of a rest, you can take the rest here and then go back and continue. But you know, I like the fact that we have cleared everything and we are not dead. This area over here, there really isn't anything over there, so once you got over there you have to drop down. So I don't want to go over there. There's no reason, there's no loot, there's no nothing. It's just basically a trap to get you over there. That was not a block, that was a spellcast. Up, off you go. Wow, they're dropping. At least something that is not just me falling off these locations. And we're gonna go in here. We want to clear all of these, and the reason we want to clear them is I just don't really like. I really don't like them having sort of attacking from behind, so let's just make sure that we clear everything and deal with it. So that is where we need to go. They're still shooting. Yeah. Drop down safely on this location. And they are just following us. Careful not to accidentally step off during an attack. I'm gonna go down here and trying to see if the ones over on the other side, I can get those to jump on over, so we can take care of those. Again, you hear the scarab sound. That scarab sound is from inside some of these pipes. We will be walking through these pipes later on, but it's yeah, you can actually see these enemies on top. And we get, nope, it's hard to hit here. Looks like we managed to clear most of it. Not exactly healthy though. Let's pop a potion. All good. And we've been up, we've been down, we've been everywhere here. So move up here. As you get close to the door, one will jump out pretty aggressively, so be careful. Keep your shield up. Good. And now the other one that was sort of annoying to us is finally jumped over to a location where we can kill it. So let's go over and take care of that before proceeding. There we go. Give us some healing. Give us some focus points. Yep, thank you. We're pretty much full on build. That's good. And we will now go in here, and there's a ladder to kick down, and first I didn't get the point of this ladder, but the thing is there's a hole in this pipe, and this hole is leading further into the dungeon, and this just means that it's easier to get here if you need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a purple one here, just so that we know that if we come back here, this is where we drop down, so we know where we started. This is probably the one that has the most branches, so you're going to be using more prism shards here as well. Moving around, and there we already have a three-way split, so let's figure out how to mark that. And we'll take this one first. Rats. Oh, every time I see a loot, then I think it's a rune one, but it's not. It's always just a golden rune one. And here is a drop down. This drop down is incredibly important. Let's see, purple. Yes, the purple drop down. This is actually getting us further into the dungeon. That's the only way to get to that point. It's crazy how a random drop down point is the only way to progress with the dungeon, but it is. But first we're going to take everything here. So we actually took the right way, because then we get to attack the rat before it sees us. And there's another drop down here. This drop down isn't quite as interesting. You can see it splashes down. It actually splashes down into a place that we've already been. It's right in the middle of an intersection. So nothing to... we're not going to take that one. And we come back to this location. So, what we have is we have the drop down. In this we have technically the 2 drop downs, but one of them is not interesting. What we are going to do is we're going to go back, because we want to take the drop down is pretty final. Once you do that, you can't really come back. So what we want to do is go back to where we initially got into these pipes and proceed the other way. Yeah, well, you can see the thinking going on here. Even though I've been here several times, it's still confusing on which way to actually go. So this will also be where we start understanding why we've been hearing so many of those sounds, because right now we are in the pipes that went through the big room with the shrimps, and that's why you could hear these, but you couldn't reach them. So we go in here, going further. Again, marking our entrances. Just contemplating which one we think is the shortest detour. We take this. Basically, all of this area is just opening into just a bit of loot here and there. I don't want to mark that because it's obviously a dead end. Not getting fat loot from it, but we'll just get some. This is also like if you don't have a lot of potions, you are getting how many? Oh, 3 potions from this one. Good, and something died. That guy also dead. So this doesn't count as an intersection because the other 2 lanes are empty. So we get a smithing stone 8 for our troubles. And you know, if there's a obviously blocked path, just give it a whack just in case, or give it 1,000 whacks just to be really sure. Yep, go back. So it's one of the paths. And then at this point we will take the other path. I guess the part you see when I get there, that one, we should actually have taken it because that would have given us what we needed just to get full on flasks. But nope, alas, we're too slow. Doesn't matter. We'll survive. It won't be because of lack of flasks that we are gonna get in trouble. And this one also ends. Eye of Yellow. Okay. Oops. And then we try to find our way back. So what are we missing now? We are not really missing much here. And we are missing 1 path here plus the drop down. So let's try. So it didn't really matter. We got all of that. We are now full on flasks of Crimson Tear. Here's a bit of loot, and well, those are not needed for us, but we want to take them out so we don't have the shimmering thing. So here's again a 3-way split. So let's take this one first. We take the one with the grid or the gate. See where that leads. Nowhere. Well, that was boring. And take the other one. And see where that leads of interesting places. The answer is nothing interesting, unfortunately. And at this point, it's really easy to just go, okay, we're done. We've done everything. This just leads out to a deadly drop. I don't know if you can make it with the running jump, but I don't want to try because this is a annoying place, and even if you make it. So now what we do is we try to find our way back, and even with our markers, you can see it's going to be a bit tricky just to find our way back. So just run, and try to figure out where it is, and I get lost here again. But if I didn't have this, that would be super confusing, right? If I didn't have any indication of where I was. So now no, this one, yes. And we should be coming back here. This is the drop down. So that was all of that part is now done, and it had nothing interesting, just dead ends and a bit of loot. Now we go back to this original location, this or the first part we took, and that one has the 2 drop downs. We're going to take the drop down. We are. Is it this one? Nope, that's the yellow one, the white one. This is not the interesting one. We want to take this drop down here. Not this. but into the yellow. Yes. Into the yellow here. And there is now the drop down. And this drop down is the drop down of goodies. Once you drop down, you'll get backstabbed. You bastard, you. You bastard. Damn, even got like a really straight up backstab here. And that's the guy we've actually been seeing. Yep. And we can now open it. This is the one where we said, if we see one of those guys on the other side, then we know that it's the right place. So we got it opened. So now we've opened all the unknown doors. We are now coming into a location that we haven't seen before, and things will start to change character, and we get into completely different location. Things are really weird. Now there are jars instead of, well, omens and stuff like that. So clearly, this is progression. And man, I hate myself for doing this, but I have to. I have to kill the jars. Oh, Daddy Jar and the babies. No, I feel so bad. But alas, it must be done. If it's red, it's dead. And we get a ritual pot, so that's at least something. And we get into an elevator and get even further down into the depth of the city. It is incredible how far we can go into the city. And we just enjoy the ride and get all the way down to the end. There are no drop-offs on this elevator. This gets us into a new location, and it should say that as soon as we get in. No? But it is the Forsaken Depth. Now we just reset at this location and just make sure that we are healed up and ready to go. Change our equipment to be boss fight ready, and then we'll go into a boss fight. There's nothing between us, that resting point, and the boss fight. This is a great enemy, so it's difficult, and this is where we, if you remember, we picked up the Mohg's shackle. You can use this on this fight, but I don't, because I want to do it without using that. So we buff up with all we can. And this fight, well, it's definitely not going to be a perfect fight for sure. I'm going to try to get him to stagger. He has these explosions, and he has some very delayed attacks. So many of his attacks are quite delayed, and that really gets me. That one he pulled down is some fire damage, so I'm actually using a plus fire damage or fire resist amulet or medallion to make it easier, just reducing a bit of damage here. That one is, yeah, more fire damage, and also there's a bit of bleed, but the bleed I don't really feel is the biggest issue. He throws it at you, jump to the side, jump forward is actually usually better, so you can actually get closer to him and not get hit. I'm gonna work on, basically through my jump attacks, we'll be trying to get him to break his posture. Just going in, jump attack, and then hopefully we'll be able to get out. Some of those I just accept the damage from this. That's a short one. I have a feeling we can get him down. Oh, we got a blood loss, so yeah, we do get a blood loss once in a while. So we try to use that, but it's really risky because he... there, I feel that he's really close to breaking posture. And he is. And we go in, we get our iframes while doing the backstab, and we get him pretty far down. Again, follow up. That's a good opening as well. Wait until he pulls it out, because he will also deal damage on the pull out. Ow. And that one is pretty delayed. And again, I'm just going to do the jump attacks. This one, you can run behind. I'm actually not super healthy. That's the delayed swing. You really want to dodge faster. This is a good one. I mean, it deals a bit of damage, but you can make your way through it. And we get some damage in, not a lot. Ow. Roll in, and then get the attack in. So we kill Mohg the Omen without using the shackle. And that is a great enemy, and for our troubles we get the Blood Flame talents. Now, that has every sign and hint that this is the end of a of the dungeon. We fought our way, we found a great enemy, and we even get a fat loot for it. But that's just not how Dark Souls games work, because it goes even further. The Earth Tree Favor +1, super nice. That's actually one thing that I would use. Not now, but under normal circumstances. But as I jump over, another secret door unveils, and we can go even deeper into the dungeon. This is absolutely insane how much we've just been going down and finding secret paths and just hidden places just to get further down. But we can't go further until we've killed Mohg the Grace-Given. So that means, and it's also a good thing. This is the next area. So what we are doing is I'm coming back after we've killed Mohg the Grace-Given, and we can now unlock this. Now, what I should say is this is related to one of the endings, and it is heavy spoilered area. In terms of it. So if you don't want to get it spoiled, know that you can come back here and you can enjoy this yourself. But it's also quite technical. It's not super easy, so I would recommend maybe watching this part as well, and then later on I'll give you a warning when there's no point to turn back. What we want to do here is we want to aggro them, and we want to stand over by these tents, because we can't destroy the tents apparently, but they can. We can kill demons and stuff, but a tent is apparently beyond us. However, they can destroy it, so I need to get him angry enough to use his madness spell. Like that, which deals an absurd amount of damage. 20 poke. Alright, come on. That should be good enough. There we go. Alright, you killed it, and see there's an item inside, so let's go in and kill you. Alright, so what... A tiny bit of lore about this. Nomadic Merchants Chapeau. That is the Nomadic Merchants. You can also see all of these dead things here are Nomadic Merchants. And it turns out that they were, they had this disease, the Frenzy Flame, and for that everyone was locked at the bottom of the tower. That's pretty shitty. And I guess some of the nomads were stayed alive. Again, here we can see an item in there, so I need you to kill. The damage from this. Heal up, and we can get another item here. It's just Eye of Yellow, but we can't. We have to keep one alive to do this. And we can kill the rest. So they're super fragile, but they deal insane amounts of damage. So they were locked in here, and I guess the Nomadic Merchants, if you try killing the Nomadic Merchants, you will also see that they have Frenzy Flame as well. So they are still inflicted by this disease. And you can see they were locked down by Mohg. Maybe by Mohg, but at least it's Mohg that needs to be killed in order to open the seal. Now there's a lot of gravity death here. This part we're going to do is pretty simple, but we get a bit further and then it'll get a bit more difficult as well. What we're going to do is we're just trying to go back because I want to kill everyone, and there's someone is still playing their instrument, so they must be locked down here, and apparently one of them, or a few of them, are not quite dead yet, but most of them are. It's kind of a sad story. Kind of. It's a sad story. Yet we are on a path to become Elden Lord, so they're all in our way. Or maybe even the Lord of Chaos. Still more. Still more. That's back, and I guess we just have to go down. Just desperately looking. I'm clicking on the targeting thing to just see if I can find it, but I don't think it's here. We need to go down a few more rafters here, so let's do that, and then we can find it. Nope, that's not you. You're hidden. Let's go there, and there's a bit of loot. I'm desperate for these. And we can then go up, and then I have to jump down this. You have to get all the way safely to the bottom, and it's the worst of this. It's, yeah, worse than the tower in Dark Souls 3. There, Frenchy Cookbook. Lovely. And we can go over on this side. And we look oh, okay, that's so diff. And we look around to see if there's anything we need to have them break. Nope, nothing that needs to break, so we can finally kill the musician. There we go. And oh, there's one more. There we go. Alright, so we take care of those. And wasn't there an item we missed? And what we're going to do now is we are going to jump down safely here. So that's a walk off, and walk in here. You might be bounced off, but you're still gonna land. Walk off. It's very important, the distinction between walking. Now we do the running jump. Running jump has to be a running jump, otherwise you won't make it. Again, has to be a running jump, and again a running jump. There's either walk off, running jump, or jump. This is a walk off. You land, and from here, that's the hardest part. If you land on top of the first one, you're probably dead. You have to sort of bounce off, and then this is a normal jump, not a running jump. And this one is a walk off. Walk off, walk, fall down. It's good. And then we can get in here. And there's another tent, so that means we have to find someone who can help us destroy that. And there's a loot inside that we absolutely must get. So we need to find someone here that we can give a friendly hack. Yep, thank you. And then go back and get you to destroy this one for us. Come on. You can do it. It's really risky, this part. Because if you die to this one, you have to redo all of the gravity insanity. Here we go. Do you get it? Nope. Again. There we go, you got it. Perfect. Oh, the damage. And this item is interesting. Note Miquella's Needle. So let's have a look at it, because this is also relevant. So basically what it says is that, if we can find it, Miquella's Needle. The Empyrean Miquella crafted the needle to resist the influence of the outer gods. Those who have inherited the flame of frenzy, yet wished not to become the lord, would do well to seek Miquella's Needle. So that means basically if you accept this ending of the frenzy flame, then there is a way to undo it, and that's now the hint about it from Miquella's Needle. So that means if you go down this path and do work towards the flame of frenzy ending, then you can regret it later on. So that's good. But that's long and arduous process that we definitely will cover in a future video. So don't worry. Now we've gotten all the way to the bottom of the tower, almost. All we need to do is just casually jump down to this floor where there's nothing down there. What could possibly go wrong? Yep, let's jump down. Oh no! Now we come down here, and what we'll see is we see Hidetaka, we see a magic thing, and we see a grace. Now get this grace immediately. And at this point, nothing you've done is irrevocable. But if you proceed from here, you will lock yourself out of other things. Here we now have, as we rest at this location, we have a talk to Melina.
If you intend to claim the frenzied flame, I ask that you cease. It is not to be meddled with. It is chaos, devouring life and thought unending. However ruined this world has become, however mired in torment and despair, life endures. Births continue. There is beauty in that. Is there not? If you would become Lord, do not deny this notion. Please. Leave the frenzied flame alone. I ask you one more time. Please, seek not the frenzied flame. As one who strives to become a lord, deny not the lives, the new births of this world. Those who would are not fit to be called lord, when the land they preside over is lifeless. Please, put a stop to this madness. The Lord of Frenzied Flame is no lord at all, when the land they preside over is lifeless.
She's pretty adamant about that. She does not want us to become Lord of Frenzy. But for the sake of this video, we are going to do it. And we finally find Hidetaka again. If you don't know how to get her, or if she isn't here, then I'll have a quest guide for you on that.
Are you? I realized as we've talked, I'll be a maiden, and you, surely a lord. Go to the door ahead. After divesting yourself of your possessions, it will surely open, and the three fingers will welcome you. May the flame of chaos find purchase within you. Go to the door ahead. After divesting yourself of your possessions, it will surely open, and the three fingers will welcome you.
Now this is the part, if you go in here, you have to take up all your clothes and equipment, and if you do that, there is no turning back. Well, there is the Michaela's needle, but we're gonna do it because that's what this guide is for, and we want to get everything that you can get out of this dungeon. So maybe take a save before, or engage in a long quest. Let's give it a shot and open the door. And so we have become imbued with the frenzy flame, and as you can see, when we come back, we now have scars all over our body, and our eyes are bright yellow. We just put out our equipment and run back to talk to Hidetaka again, and also talk to Melina.
The flame of chaos has nestled within you. Could you please rest your hand upon me? Burn me with the flame to make me your maiden. Oh, it burns. My eyes, they're melting.
Yeah, not great.
Thank you. I have touched them. The words of the three fingers. As your maiden, allow me to divine them. All that there is came from the one great. Then came fractures, and births, and souls. But the greater will made a mistake. Torment, despair, affliction, every sin, every curse, every one born of the mistake. And so, what was borrowed must be returned, melted all away with the yellow chaos flame, until all is one again. Those who gave me grapes howled without words, saying they wished they were never born. Become their lord, take their torment, despair, their affliction, every sin, every curse, and melt it all away. As the Lord of Chaos, no more fractures, no more birth.
So basically, the greater will created life, but since life was not perfect, the only solution is to return what was borrowed and cleanse it all with the yellow flame of chaos. Maybe a bit of a harsh conclusion, but I guess that's the Lord of Chaos is all about.
You have inherited the frenzied flame. A pity. You are no longer fit. Our journey together ends here. And remember, should you rise as the Lord of Chaos, I will kill you. As sure as night follows day, such is my duty. For allowing you the strength of runes. Goodbye, my companion. Goodbye, Torrent.
And Melina has now left us. That's a bit sad. And that's also the end of this dungeon. Like, I cannot believe how complete and crazy this dungeon was. This has been the best dungeon of the game so far. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take care and stay effective.